Hey everybody, I'm Zac.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching In Depth.
On Now You Know.
You can help support our channel by heading over to ecoware.us, where we've got new designs every week, and we carbon offset the production, the shipping, and the life cycle of every product, and then
we plant a tree for every order, so it's carbon negative. And we're brought to you by abetterrouteplanner.com. If you want to go for a long road trip in your EV, you should check out abetterrouteplanner.com. And they have a premium version, which you can check out for an entire month if you use our link down below.
And we're sponsored by our friends at the solar-powered hotels in Schaumburg, Illinois, the Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott, and the Town Place Suite Hotel right next door. They're both connected, and they're both solar-powered.
This episode is sponsored by Omaze, where you can win a 2020 Model S Performance and $20,000.
Yeah, but you're going to need that $20,000 to pay for all the taxes if you win it.
Nope. That includes the car's taxes and shipping, all covered.
Oh, well then tell me more.
So the Model S Performance goes 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. It has a 348-mile range and a top speed of 163 miles an hour. Comes fully loaded with autopilot, full self-driving, and the HEPA air filter.
But your entries are helping Give Power.
The nonprofit Give Power is on a mission to help people around the world who don't have access to safe drinking water by using clean, renewable solar energy to power and provide clean water, food security, and light to regions around the world. Omaze has teamed up with Give Power to help fund Give Power solar water farms in regions of Colombia. These water farms purify and desalinate water sourced sustainably from the ocean, providing a long-term, renewably powered drinking water solution for many people living in brutally dry conditions.
So head on over to amaze.com/NYK or click the link in the show notes for your chance to win a Tesla Model S Performance and $20,000 cash. So this story was shared with us from a viewer, as many of our stories are, and I believe this is one of the strengths of our channel. We have an incredible community of viewers who communicate with us regularly, who share stories with us that they think are important and insightful, stories that we probably wouldn't find otherwise. So this story is from a BBC article written by Justin Rowlett, their chief environment correspondent, called "What the Heroin Industry Can Teach Us About Solar."
What?
Yeah, it's a great article. Thank you to Justin, and we'll post the link for the article down below. You should definitely go read it. Okay, so our story takes place in the Helmand province of Afghanistan, one of the most dangerous, war-torn places on Earth, where, if you didn't know it, we, the United States of America, are still at war. Did you know that, by the way?
I thought we were done.
We're not done. 19 years we've been fighting. It's the longest U.S. war in history.
Wow.
But this story is not about the war going on there. It is about the farmers. The predominant crop in Helmand province is poppies. And what are poppies used to make?
Poppy seeds.
Yes, I guess you could get poppy seeds for your bagel.
Yeah.
But no, we're talking about opium.
Oh.
Yeah, so a quick lesson I think is needed here. Opium and the naturally occurring substance morphine that is derived from it comes directly from the sap of the unripe bulbs of the poppy plant, and it's actually classified by the FDA as a legal substance. It's a Schedule II drug that has accepted medical uses, right? You've heard of people using morphine as a painkiller. Mm-hmm. But heroin is a synthetic substance that uses opium as its primary active ingredient. And so basically what they're making here is poppies to turn into heroin.
Wasn't heroin made to get U.S. soldiers off of morphine?
I think so.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Weird world we live in. Okay. So we're talking about heroin on this channel now?
Well, for this story, we are. So according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, almost 80% of Afghan opium comes from the southwest part of Afghanistan, including Helmand province. So that's about 2/3 of the global supply of opium comes from here. All right, so just keep this in mind that most of the world's heroin comes from Helmand province.
Okay.
So most of Helmand province is a desert. To grow poppies, farmers need
water.
Exactly.
And sunlight.
And sunlight.
Which is good that it's a desert.
Exactly.
Okay.
They've got the sun, no problem.
Yep.
They don't have much water, and that's the limiting factor. So now let's go back to 2013. What happened in 2013?
With what? I need a clue here.
Solar power.
Oh, we got solar panels installed on our house.
And you know where else they started using solar panels?
Afghanistan?
Very good. In 2013, the first Afghan farmer to use solar panels was reported.
So he installed solar on his house and he could power his lights and run his washing machine and stuff like that?
He didn't actually install the solar for his house. He set up the panels out in a field and he used the electricity to pump water from a well. You see, farmers typically drill down about 100 meters, they install a pump, and they wire up a diesel generator, and they pump the water up into reservoirs to water their fields.
Oh, I see. But with the solar panels, they get free electricity to run the pumps.
So exactly, in 2013, the price of solar panels got so cheap that it became cheaper than diesel generators. So Afghan farmers began buying solar panels to run their pumps. And in fact, it kept getting cheaper and cheaper. And so more and more farmers got in on the action. And it allowed farmers to get more and more water, which meant
More poppies.
exactly. Interesting to note here that the problem with diesel generators is
They're
not
loud.
Yeah, but we're in a desert, so it doesn't really
Oh,
matter.
okay. It's that they're pollution.
Yeah, I don't think the farmers cared much about the pollution.
It's the carbon dioxide.
I don't think they cared much about the environment either.
So then why switch to solar? Just because it was cheaper?
It was cheaper, but also what makes diesel in a desert a problem is that the diesel fuel, by the time it gets to Afghanistan, is so diluted. They actually add things like water to it to make it cheaper. And so when it runs through a diesel engine, it ruins the engine oftentimes. And so you have to get parts and you have to do maintenance to your engine. And so it's just a pain in the neck to run a diesel engine.
I see. And the solar coming from the sun is the exact same sunlight that you get pretty much anywhere else on Earth.
You got it.
Interesting. So that was another contributing factor, was that basically the sun is a free resource and it's pretty consistent, and you're not going to have to be repairing your panels that often because the sun isn't going to like, oh no, they diluted the sun today and they added some Beetlejuice power, from that crappy Beetlejuice sunlight.
So basically, more and more farmers are getting in on the action. They produce more and more poppies. So look at this. This is Helmand Valley in 2012. The colors are the area under cultivation, 157,000 hectares. Dark purple means poor yields. Light green is the most productive land. So next we see here 2019. Do you see the difference?
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot more area.
Yeah, 344,000 hectares, more than doubling the growing in just 7 years.
So that's good?
I know, right? It's hard to tell whether you think the growing of more opium is a good thing or not. But let's take a look at what happened in these 7 years.
Okay.
Take a look at this. This is a market in Lashkar Gah in Afghanistan.
Oh, wow. Look at that building. So they're building up because it's getting...
No,
what?
No, that's not buildings. Look really close. Those are solar panels stacked 3 stories high. So what happened is, as solar panel prices have dropped, it went from one farmer in 2013 to 67,000 solar arrays in 2019, just in Helmand Valley.
Wow. Okay, so let me get this straight. A farmer has a well dug, he purchases a pump and an array of solar panels to power it for about $5,000, and that farmer gets essentially free water for as long as the sun shines.
Yep. And as the land yields more people move to the desert to farm. So over 48,000 new homes have been built in the valley during the 7-year period. Here's a chart of the number of hectares growing poppies from 1994 to 2018. Look how it's skyrocketing. Now, let's translate this into tons of opium. In 2012, before solar panels, Afghanistan produced 3,700 tons of opium. By 2016, it had grown to 4,800 tons. In 2017, there was a bumper crop, 9,000 tons of opium, the biggest yield ever, and opium prices crashed.
So what happened in 2018 and 2019?
With the low prices, many farmers in the rest of Afghanistan stopped growing poppies, but many farmers in Helmand Valley, where the solar investments were the greatest, they continued, and Helmand produced the most opium, 5,000 tons out of the 6,400 tons produced that year. So if we step back for a second and look at what happens in any economy when you produce more of something.
Supply and demand, so the supply goes up, the price drops.
Yes. Exactly. And when the price drops and there's a demand already, what happens?
People buy more of it.
And so with heroin, when you have more people buying more cheap heroin, you get more heroin addicts and more deaths. Just take a look at this DEA chart showing the availability of heroin throughout the United States. It's comparing 2017 to 2018. So if you see there, those are different districts of the United States, and it's showing the availability in 2017 as being pretty moderate. But then in 2018, it's heavy. Everywhere in the United States is high availability for heroin.
So it just heroin's just like everywhere.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this chart from the Centers for Disease Control showing heroin-involved overdose deaths in yellow from 1999, where it was pretty stable for years with an average of 2,000 deaths per year, to 2017 when it was up to over 15,000 deaths per year, a 7 times increase. And this is just the United States. So you can see what started happening there as heroin prices get cheaper, it's easier to get it, it's addictive, and more people die.
So what's the lesson here? That there's a direct correlation between solar panels and heroin deaths. So more solar panels means more heroin deaths. So solar panels are bad. I knew it was too good to be true. We got to ban solar panels.
Hang on. You're just seeing capitalism at work.
Yeah, and exactly. See, capitalism is bad. Solar panels are bad. We got to ban all of it. This is terrible.
This is not what I'm saying. Let's step back for a second.
Okay.
What happened here?
I mean, okay, so if we want to look at this clinically, a new technology came along, solar panels, that was cheaper and more reliable than the existing technology, the diesel generators.
Exactly. And what I'm trying to show is that if you look at the technology objectively, without all the biases that solar has in most places.
Wait, what do you mean?
So solar panels here in the United States, for instance, have had a tough time gaining acceptance. I went out with Solar City and Tesla crews who were, knocking on people's doors door to door to sell solar. And here are some of the myths that solar panels still have today. They could cause your roof to leak. They cause fires. Solar panels mean that firefighters can't put out fires that are on your house. Solar lowers your property values. They're too expensive. They're not efficient. If it snows, your roof will collapse. What if they get dirty? And on and on and on.
Oh, I see. And the farmers in Afghanistan didn't get all this misinformation. They just looked at the technology objectively and saw that it made sense.
Exactly. The farmers are proof that solar is a superior technology.
So the proof is in the heroin.
Yeah, I mean, we probably should have called this episode that. Instead, we said the proof is in the poppies because...
YouTube doesn't like the word heroin.
Right.
As any advertiser would not like.
I mean, it's sad, I know. But yes, the proof is that by adopting solar panels, these farmers were able to increase their yields consistently year over year.
So much so that, as you said, tens of thousands of people moved to what used to be a desert in Helmand province.
Yeah, and this is another big problem. So many people have moved to the desert and are relying on this new water and these new crops to survive, but...
Oh, wait, the water. I mean, they're pumping it right out of the ground, probably faster than it can be replaced. They're going to run out of water?
Yeah. According to David Mansfield, the author of When the Water Runs Out, over 1 million Afghans depend on this aquifer that is now being depleted faster than ever. By some estimates, over 3 meters of water per year are being pumped out of the ground.
So what's going to happen to all these people when the water runs out?
That's a good question. Yeah, when that happens, you're going to have tens of thousands of people who are living in a desert that can no longer supply them with crops and water, and they're going to need to move somewhere.
Where are they going to go? They're going to go to the next province with water? Or what?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's really hard when you have a bunch of people all at the same time who need to move out of a region and move into some region that's already occupied.
Okay, so I don't understand why we're talking about this. This seems like a horrible example of a use of solar.
To be honest, I chose this real-world example to get your attention. I knew that if we talked about megawatts and saving pennies per kilowatt, most of you would be put to sleep. I know this is a sad tale, but it proves something undeniable.
Solar panels are good at what they do, and they're extremely cost-effective.
Yeah, even the poorest people on Earth can employ them and change their lives with a very modest investment.
A modest investment that pays off big. I mean, these farmers are getting essentially free water every day for as long as the aquifer lasts.
And that's my point. We are so misled in this country to believe that we need more coal mines and more natural gas and more oil wells to solve our energy needs.
And we know that that's BS. And here's the funny thing. We get emails all the time from people asking about free energy devices. If you put a big wind turbine on your Tesla, then when you're driving down the road, then it'll generate electricity. And you have to explain, well, no, it's actually going to slow down the car, and that's going to be less efficient. You have to use the energy, or people will be like, oh, you take a thing and it spins, and because of the magnets, then you can, and it's like, no, that doesn't work. And that's why you have a animation of it and you don't have the real thing, because it's not real. And all these people think that there must be a way to get free energy.
Yeah, but they're kind of right. There is free energy.
Are you really? You're one of those people?
I'm not one of those people. I know that there's no free energy. No, but what I mean is there is essentially free energy from the sun every day, and we've had the technology for decades to harness it. In fact, remember this?
Is that Jimmy Carter?
Yeah, that's President Jimmy Carter, who installed solar panels on the White House roof back in the 1970s. In fact, when Carter installed them, he said, in the year 2000, this solar will still be here supplying cheap, efficient energy. But in 1986, President Reagan tore down
That wall.
Nope, but he did tear off the 32 solar panels on the roof of the White House.
Oh, I guess 1987 is when he said the wall thing. Wait. Reagan tore off the solar panels off the roof? Yep. Were they communist panels?
No, they were American solar panels.
So why did he pull them off?
Well, what is competing with solar panels?
Lunar panels? No, I mean fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels, yeah. And if solar is cheaper, cleaner, and safer, then how do you compete with it?
You can't.
You can. You just need to
lie.
Yeah. What's another word for lying?
Advertising.
Advertising, exactly. And so how do you run a good ad campaign?
You lie about your competition.
Exactly. You promote fear, uncertainty, and doubt about your competition.
But I mean, I guess you don't have to worry about people in Afghanistan because, who cares about those people? They're not buying our oil.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure no advertising dollars were spent in the Afghan market against solar panels. And this is kind of what I'm pointing out here. This is a perfect scientific study, actually.
Wait, what?
Well, we'll look at it this way. You have two groups separated by culture, language, and thousands of miles, right? So you have a scientific group A, where you introduce fear, uncertainty, and doubt for solar. And then you have group B, where you don't do anything. It's a control group.
But wait, this isn't scientific. Group A that you're talking about, the one that's being fed fear, uncertainty, and doubt, is wealthier than Group B.
This only proves my point further. Imagine how much solar we would have in this country if we hadn't been lied to for decades.
So you're saying the United States could have been the largest producer of heroin?
I guess we could have, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm pointing out that if we had positive policies and attitudes towards solar in the U.S. for all these decades, you would probably see solar panels on every block in America by now.
And a vast reduction for the need of fossil fuels. Basically, solar panels could have weaned us off of our fossil fuel addiction.
And they will. But first, we have to overcome the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and the misinformation that has been spread by big oil for decades.
And I mean, I guess one great way to spread this idea is to get solar yourself.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happened in Afghanistan. One farmer went down to the market, bought solar panels, and I'm sure a lot of his farmer friends are like, that guy's crazy. What is he doing? What are those things?
But they didn't have any sort of misinformation in their head.
Right.
They're probably like, what is this?
So after his first crop came in, they probably were like, whoa, let's go talk to him and find out what he did.
Right.
Because it worked.
Right.
And that's the same thing we experience here with Teslas, for instance, and butts and seats. As soon as you get solar on your house, it tells all your friends and your family and all your neighbors in your neighborhood that solar actually works.
Right.
They have all this misinformation, but then they see that, wait a minute, Fred put it on his house and his house didn't burn down, his property values didn't drop, and his electric bills went down.
Right. And you get to avoid all the murky ethical and moral complications of growing poppies.
Yes, that's a very weird way to put it, but yeah. I mean, Jesse and I are a clearinghouse for hundreds of viewers who have gone solar, and you guys tell us every week how happy you are about it. And so we just get bazillions of emails and messages every year with people who say, thank you guys for telling me about this. We did it, and it's awesome.
Right. And so instead of them growing poppies and making opium, they're just saving money on their electric bill because most of our viewers have houses that are running electricity all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to do a plug here for Energy Pal. We work with them because they're really good at answering all your questions. I think one of the biggest problems going to any new technology is that you have a ton of questions, a ton of things that don't readily make sense in your head. Like, well, if this is true, if putting these on my roof can actually save me money, why haven't I heard of this before? Why aren't more people doing it? And
right.
so
how expensive is it?
Right.
Can I do it on my roof? Well, my roof is made out of this particular material, which is uncommon. Can I get solar on my roof? And it's pretty tough when you're talking to a solar company, a company that is trying to actively sell you solar, for them to not just be like, of course, this is the best plan available. You shouldn't look anywhere else. And you're going, but maybe I should look somewhere else. And they're going, don't worry about it. So that is where Energy Pal comes in, because they aren't selling you the solar. They are just your solar advisors who are trying to get you the best deal possible, and they're getting paid from whichever solar installer you choose.
Yeah, because I mean, Afghan farmers didn't have to deal with this, right? They just put panels out in the field. They didn't really care about how efficient they were, how much space they took up, what they look like.
But they had to make that investment themselves. And now with power purchase agreements and other forms of loans and stuff like that, you can actually be saving money from day one because you'll be paying less money for the loan of the solar panels than you are saving money from your energy bill.
And that's actually what stops a lot of people, I'll be honest, is that there's so many different ways to do this that it almost is just overwhelming, and it just is like, I don't know what to do. And that's happened to me in 2013 when we got solar. There was lots of options. I could buy the system, I could do a power purchase agreement, and I needed someone to walk me through the different options. There wasn't anyone, so I had to go do all the research myself, and that's overwhelming. The great news here is that the people at Energy Pal do this every day. They can explain it to you, and if it takes hours, they'll take hours.
Right. And look, we wouldn't be talking about this if we didn't actually believe in them. They didn't sponsor this episode or anything. We were just like, look at this crazy story about Helmand province. Like, where are you ever going to hear this story? We really wanted to tell it because it really does show that solar works. Unfortunately, it works for producing heroin, which has led to the awful deaths of thousands of people, which is a negative. But solar is a tool, and if you use it for good, then it's a lot better. And we were like, you know what? People are going to want to get solar after this because they're thinking about solar and maybe starting their own farm. Hopefully it's not a poppy farm. Energy Pal is a great choice, in our opinion, because there's not too many other places you can go to get a true objective view of this.
Yeah, getting unbiased information is hard to get in any industry, and then the fact that you're not paying for that extra information. It's not like you're paying an extra amount on top of it. It comes out of the solar installer. We've just found that it's worked really well for a lot of our viewers, and our biggest goal here, to be honest, on this channel is for as many people to get butts and seats in a Tesla or to get solar on their roof, to change the way you're doing things, to change the way you're moving yourself around the planet or the way that you're getting your energy.
Because it's not just the carbon footprint that you're offsetting or changing personally. It's the cultural change that you are imparting on the world around you. It's the people who are going to see the solar on your roof and go, why don't I just do it? Like, this must work because I keep seeing more and more houses with it. Or getting people into a Tesla or another electric car and just being like, I plug this in at home every day. I can plug this in at work. I can supercharge. I can do all these different things. All of the misconceptions that you have been force-fed by the oil industry, most of them are completely false. Changing people's minds is a really powerful thing. And a perfect example of this was what happened in Helmand province. And I mean, like, again, that's a negative example, but it is an example nonetheless. If that first farmer hadn't installed solar, we might not have even been talking about this. So be the change you want to see in the world. I mean, we know that solar is going to be a major positive thing. And I know that we didn't cover a lot of positives of solar in this episode, but from both your carbon offset to just the fact that you have now some energy independence, you add some storage to that in your house, and you can be your own power utility. You don't need to rely on fossil fuels coming from who knows where in the world. Mm-hmm. Really, really powerful stuff. This is stuff that we haven't actually gotten to experience in a very long time, since before the Industrial Revolution, really.
Yeah, and the change is happening, and as you guys out there make this change to electric cars and solar, you're actually speeding up the rate of change. So thank you so much for joining us this week on In Depth. If you like the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That just tells the YouTube algorithm that it should be shared with more people, and who knows, if you share this video with someone else, maybe they'll get solar too.
Maybe you hit the like button and it gets shared with that first farmer from Helmand province. We get to interview him. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
And, the world works in weirder ways. So give it a shot.
Thanks so much for joining us, everybody.
Now you know.